Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Coco Gauff's serve problem resurfaces in US Open loss to Naomi Osaka. Coco Gauff knows the spotlight better than most 20-year-olds. Last year she lit up New York by winning her first Grand Slam title at the US Open, sparking comparisons to Serena Williams. A few months ago, she added a French Open crown to her resume. But tennis doesn't just reward moments of brilliance, it demands consistency. And right now, Gauff is fighting a technical battle that continues to hold her back. At this year's US Open, the cracks showed early. She scraped through a three-set opener against Ajla Tomljanovic before colliding with Naomi Osaka in the fourth round. Osaka dominated from start to finish, feasting on Gauff's serve. The numbers were brutal. 5 double faults and only 52% of first serve points won, compared to Osaka's staggering 94%. That match raised an old question: can Gauff overcome her serving struggles before they stall her rise up the rankings? Experts call for urgent fix. On the FUD Around and Find Out podcast, Rennie Stubbs, who once coached Serena Williams, didn't sugarcoat her thoughts. Coco has arguably one of the greatest backhands we've ever seen in the game, but her forehand is really quite technically flawed, and her serve has become a technical issue, Stubbs said. Stubbs compared it to a basketball player with a broken shooting form, something that can't be ignored, only rebuilt. It's a reminder that even the most explosive athletes sometimes need to go back to basics. Legendary coach Rick Matchy, who helped shape the Williams sisters, sees the same flaws but also the potential. Speaking to Sportskeeda, he argued that Gauff's serve could eventually become her biggest weapon if retooled. If she is reprogrammed with a more compact, explosive ADP forehand, the Delray dart will be #1 in the land, Matchy said. The loss to Osaka came just weeks after Gauff's shock first-round exit at Wimbledon, another reminder of how unforgiving the tour can be. Still, she remains just outside the world's top 2, and has time on her side. Her next test comes at the China Open later this month. For Gauff, the question isn't about talent, it's about whether she can tighten the screws on the part of her game that keeps letting her down. Because if she does, the race for world #1 could look very different very soon. Serve, pressure, and the unforgiving stage. Tennis is a game of fine margins. At the pro level, matches, sets, and momentum often shift on a handful of points: double faults, break points saved, mini breaks. So when something like a flaw in one serve resurfaces, especially in a Grand Slam setting, it can ripple out, undermining confidence, disrupting rhythm, and magnifying weaknesses elsewhere. Coco Gauff's loss to Naomi Osaka in the fourth round of the 2025 US Open, 6-3, 6-2, has been widely discussed, not just for what Osaka did right, but also for what Gauff failed to sustain under pressure. One of the recurring themes in coverage and post-match reflections is Gauff's serve, a stroke she has been working to remake, yet which appears still vulnerable. AP News, +3. Fox Sports, +3. Connecticut Post, +3. This essay walks through what happened technically, mentally, stylistically, what the challenges are when trying to fix something so central under tournament pressure, and what the path ahead may look like. How Gauff might turn this moment into a catalyst for stronger, freer performance. What we know: the anatomy of the match and the serve woes. Serve as a focus of change. Gauff entered the US Open having recently made a coaching change. She parted ways with Matt Daly and brought in biomechanics expert Gavin McMillan, in part to address the serve issues that have hampered her consistency. Reuters, +2. Houston Chronicle, +2. In early rounds, there were clear signs of turbulence in her serve. Old habits creeping back in, double faults, tension, visible emotional stress. In the match versus Donna Vekic, for example. Sky Sports, +2. Connecticut Post, +2. Against Osaka, the results. In the match versus Osaka, Gauff had 5 double faults and 3 aces. At the same time, she was broken 4 times. Connecticut Post, +1. Her unforced errors were numerous, 33 in total, with 20 coming off her forehand side, which Osaka targeted heavily. AP News, +3. WPBF, +3. Fox Sports, +3. Serving well enough. Some said, meaning that her serve wasn't disastrous, but it was not a stabilizing force either. She didn't collapse on serve alone, but she didn't do enough. Houston Chronicle. +2. Fox Sports. +2. The weirdness of confidence swapping. One of Gauff's own observations after the match. I'm serving well, but not returning well. She felt discombobulated, different parts of her game switching in and out of comfort. WPBF. +1. That alternating comfort is troubling in high-stakes matches because the very foundation, serve and return, are anchors. If one anchor is inconsistent, you drift. Why the serve is hard to fix in real time. Why is her serve still a problem, despite attention and technical work? There are multiple overlapping factors, and each makes change harder. Technical complexity plus muscle memory. The serve is one of the most mechanically complex strokes in tennis. It's full body, leg drive, hip rotation, shoulder alignment, arm path, racket face control, release point toss. Changing any piece affects many others. Once a player has built habits over many years, both good and suboptimal, rewiring them under match pressure is extremely difficult. Biomechanics versus match stress. Working with a biomechanics expert like McMillan likely means introducing changes that feel unnatural to Gauff in match settings. Under practice conditions or low-pressure moments, these new mechanics might settle in, but in high pressure, facing break points, a strong returner like Osaka, the old habits can instinctively resurface because the body and mind try to find what feels safe. That can lead to double faults or weaker second serves. Psychological pressure plus emotional states. Gauff's own emotional journey during this U.S. Open shows stress. In one match, she was visibly upset, teary. The weight of expectation, as top seed, past champion, adds another layer. Serve problems are magnified under pressure because there's often no second chance in the moment. A bad serve directly hands points to the opponent. So anxiety, tension, overthinking, fear of failure all work against clean execution. Opposition and match flow. Osaka style, powerful, accurate, targeting Gauff's weaker side, her forehand. Creating pressure early, meant Gauff had fewer breathing spaces. If you are constantly under pressure, serving becomes even more critical, yet more difficult. And if your return game is also off, you can't compensate. Osaka won a large proportion of her service points, never faced breakpoint against her, and converted her own chances. NBC Sports. +1. Timing of change. Making significant technical tweaks close to a Grand Slam is risky. Gauff introduced McMillan just before the U.S. Open. The time for internalizing changes, especially in service mechanics, ideally spans many matches and pressure situations. Doing so on the job means there will be more mistakes in early high-pressure matches. Reuters. +1. Why it resurfaced against Osaka. Putting together the context, here are reasons why the serve problem, though worked on, resurfaced particularly against Osaka. Osaka, a former U.S. Open champion, knows how to take control early, especially on return. She put pressure on Gauff's serve, both with deep, clean returns and by attacking her weaker forehand side when in rallies. Gauff, under pressure, would then need to serve perfectly more often to stay in the point. Given Gauff's earlier emotional discharge and nervousness, confidence may have been chipped away. If you don't feel entirely solid in your serve, and you sense that your opponent is attacking aggressively, you're more likely to tighten up, shorten the swing, or hesitate, all of which degrade the serve. The match scoreline indicates that Osaka was consistent and that Gauff's unforced errors, especially off the forehand, increased. When rallies don't go your way, you need more reliable serve to offset that. If serve is shaky, it compounds the issue. A few double faults, a few weak second serves, and suddenly what should be comfortable service games become break vulnerable. Finally, under tight conditions, break points, early breaks, there is emotional momentum. If you lose a few serve games, your energy saps. Internal dialogue becomes louder. That internal pressure tends to force players back into old habits. It distracts focus from new mechanics. And so the retrained serve is harder to access physically or mentally. What this says about Gauff's growth and future.